Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wadih Wednesday. We are going to start in a few minutes. We just wanted to hop on, make sure everything's working. Today, we're going to talk about Arab guilt, part 2. So we will be working on that. Hi, Mira. I can't hear you. Let's see. Mira, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear? Oh, everyone, can you guys hear me? TikTok, you guys are okay. We're working on, oh, you guys cannot hear me. Oh. You can't hear me. I wonder why on TikTok. Can you guys hear me now? TikTok? Where are we at? Mira, I can't hear you. Let's see. Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Can you please make sure that you just put the display on the right?
What am I doing? Wait. Can you guys hear me on TikTok? Can you guys hear me? Yes or no? Okay, TikTok's not listening. Okay, what are we doing?
First said, I just want closure.
Just choose the display on the very right.
Which display? Oh, this one.
Yes.
The other display. Got it. Okay. All right. You know what I realized? Oh, thank you. Thank you, your favorite Palestinian. Thank you. I appreciate it. No sound? How come they can't hear me on TikTok? That's so weird. Why is there, hold on, TikTok. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to hop off again. Mira, do you know why on TikTok? Do you know why on TikTok there's no sound?
Can you hop out and then hop back on? Let me make sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's better. Do this. Okay, I don't know. Can you guys hear me on TikTok? Instagram? Okay. I'm not sure why TikTok can't hear me today. TikTok, can you guys hear me?
Okay.
Hello? Anybody that's on the TikTok live, can you guys hear me? We're starting Wadih Wednesday.
No, there's no voice on TikTok for some reason.
There's no voice on TikTok. Oh, I know why. Because I didn't turn this on.
Okay.
This is why. The microphone. There we go. This is why we start early. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. All these technical difficulties. Okay. It was the microphone. All right, everybody. Can you hear me now? Let's see. How's that, Mira?
I'm checking. Give me a moment.
Okay. Should work now. Can you guys hear me now on TikTok?
Yeah. Now it's good.
Oh, good. So what happens when you don't turn on the microphone? I think they can hear me now. Oh, good. Okay, perfect. All right. Mira, how are we doing? Okay, let's get started.
Everything looks good. We can get started.
All right. Hi, Crystal. Hi, Amira. Hi, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to get started in about 4 minutes. And for those that are joining this live or this Community for International Arab, my name is Tiffany Tota. I'm a marriage and family therapist. Today, we are going to talk about Arab guilt, part 2. So I'm not going to go over what I did in the first live last week on Arab guilt. Feel free to go on my YouTube. Mira, the video's there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we've got all that. Today we're going to talk about practical tips on how to overcome guilt. So as people are hopping on, feel free to connect in the comments. Feel free to share this with anyone who may be struggling with Arab guilt. And we're just going to give people a few minutes to hop on. And for those that are new to this platform, welcome, welcome, welcome. So much appreciate you guys being a part of this. 5 things to stop feeling guilty about as Arab. Number 1, saying no. You're not selfish for protecting your energy. Number 2, putting yourself first. Resting is okay. Taking care of your mental health or choosing what's best for you doesn't make you a bad son or daughter. Number 3, setting boundaries with family. Love can exist with limits. Boundaries don't mean disrespect. Number 4, not meeting every expectation. You're not here to carry your whole family's dream on your back. Number 4. Number 5, choosing therapy, not just prayer. Both can coexist. Taking care of your mind is not weakness. So these are things that I want you guys to start to put in the back of your mind around ways to stop feeling guilty. Okay. Okay. Let's see. All right. So as we start to go through this live, I want you to start to ask yourself, what am I feeling guilty about? What am I feeling guilty about? What are some of the things you may be holding around how you're living your life, or things you may be doing, whether it's behavioral or a thought? This issue, feelings of guilt, can be a really heavy emotion, very heavy emotion. It's usually a signal that something is off. Okay, so start taking a look at that. And if you feel comfortable in the comments, what are some things as Arab that you start to feel guilty about? What are some of the things that you feel guilty? And maybe we can share. Okay. What things in our Arab families do you feel guilty about? Now, I always make this joke. We feel guilty just for breathing. Yeah. Just breathing, we'll feel guilty. Our existence can feel guilty. All right, you guys, it's 8 o'clock. So let's start rocking and rolling here at Community for International Arab. Welcome. I'm so blessed and grateful to be here. This topic of Arab guilt comes up everywhere in the work that I do in our Middle Eastern community. Guilt is a heavy emotion, as I mentioned earlier. It's usually a signal for you that something feels off. Within you, something feels off. Now, not all guilt is the same. Sometimes it's helpful. It gives us an opportunity to take a look at maybe pointing us towards our values and how we want to live and maybe be a better person or do better. Other times, which within this cultural context, it's very, very common, where it's misplaced or excessive. So many of you have shared stories with me that you feel guilty and you're carrying the weight of all your families and your ancestors and your countries all on your shoulders. And this is the very guilt I want to talk about today, to most of the degree, that this is the guilt that weighs us down unnecessarily. So we're going to talk about practical exercises to release that guilt and for you to understand, is it excessive? Is it healthy guilt? Is it toxic guilt? What is this guilt that you have within you? So the first practical way to look at this, and if you have a paper and pen, I'll encourage you to take it out, or if you have notes on your phone, because writing things down is going to take it from in here and to put it out. So you want to write down the guilty thought. I feel guilty for not being there for my family. Okay. I feel guilty. So many of you maybe live abroad, or you may not live close to your family. You may feel, I feel guilty for not being there. Now, in your journal, you want to write down the specific guilt you're carrying. Now, you're not doing anything wrong. We need to name it and externalize it. Now, you living in another country, you're not doing anything wrong. Or so if you feel guilty from not being there for your family, you write down and say it out loud. I feel guilty about, and then you name it. You want to move it outside. And the reason why you want to verbalize it outwardly is it's going to help release that from within your body. Now, you want to acknowledge it without judgment, because it's in the very awareness that you can release it. And then once you release it, so as an example, I feel guilty about not being there for my family, as I used that as an example before. And then you say it out loud. Okay, I'm not there for them. There's no judgment. I'm aware that I feel this way. And then you want to reframe it by writing down, this is a thought I'm having. It's not my truth. This is a thought I'm having. It's just a thought. But is that necessarily your truth? Okay, so think about that. Now, imagine placing the guilt into a box. So it's sort of like, how do we compartmentalize this guilt? You're not there for your family. Our cultural values is we're there for our families, no matter what, at the expense of ourselves. So can you just place this guilt and put it in, compartmentalize it and put it in context? You may be living abroad. You may be working on a project. You may be taking care of your own family, meaning your own nuclear family. And you're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing to necessarily feel guilty about. Now you may, and that's where I'm encouraging you to do, is externalize it, move it outside of you and not have it define you. So that would be one practical tip for you to really work on, is immediately when you start to be entrenched in your guilt, You want to be able to move it from here and put it on a piece of paper. And verbalizing, saying it out loud. That technique, I feel guilty about, I don't know, could be anything. And then you start to go, well, does that make sense for me to feel guilty about this? And you start to utilize your cognitive abilities to be able to work through rationally, not emotionally, what is at the crux of this guilt. The next technique that I really like is reality check questions, because a lot of times within our cultural context, what we feel and what our families project onto us is not necessarily the reality. So you want to ask yourself, is this guilt based on an actual mistake or just an expectation? Whether your own expectation of yourself or other people. Now, more often than not, this is based on other people's expectation of you. But only you can take a look at that for yourself. Is this guilt based on an actual mistake or a cultural expectation? The other piece is, have I taken responsibility or make amends? Do you need to take responsibility for something that you've done? And that's okay. Can you make amends with that? Can you apologize? And not just apologize, I'm sorry. You want to say, I'm sorry that I yelled at you. I'm sorry that I engaged in hurting you by lying to you, or asking what did you do that you could take responsibility for. And that takes radical honesty. And you need to be honest with yourself about how you're moving in these spaces, and you can always make amends. I was talking to around making amends. Fil Arabi, Mira, maybe you can help me out. Fil Arabi, how often do we hear متأسف or متأسفة? Is that right? Did I say that right? Fil Arabi? How often do we hear these words? I don't know. I'm asking you guys. How often have you had in your own life somebody make amends to you for how they treated you? I don't have that many examples, personally or professionally. And this is something for you to think about. We don't have a lot of modeling for what true amends or being pardoned. We usually have the victim mentality, the doubling down, and people aren't just saying, thank you for those in the comments saying very few. And I think that's an important cultural, and not just cultural, I think this is universal. Yet it's important for us to understand that we don't have a lot of modeling around this. So if you need to do a reality check, and this radical honesty within yourself is to say, how do I make amends? Now, would I hold someone else to the same standard? I think we're very, in my humble clinical, professional, and personal opinion, we're very hard on ourselves. Very hard. We will forgive someone and dismiss all kinds of behaviors, but when it comes to ourselves, we will hold on to it much longer than what is necessary. And is this guilt that I'm feeling, is it helping me grow, or is this just keeping me stuck? Most of the guilt that I see within our cultural context, it keeps us stuck. And it keeps us stuck for a very, very, very long time. So this is your opportunity, and here in this live is to ask yourself, how is this guilt serving me? Is it making me a better person? Or am I just looping, spiraling in anxiety, in depression? And again, you want to be able to write the guilty thoughts down. Write them all down. Just all the guilty thoughts. Write them out. Write them all out and ask yourself, is this something I actually did wrong? Can this be something that's repaired? Or is this pressure from others or the culture? Okay. I love this technique because it's going to start to give you an opportunity to really do a deep dive around your guilt. Is this something I actually did wrong? Can it be repaired? Or is this pressure from others or culture? Now, what you do is you want to circle what is your true responsibility, and then you want to cross out unrealistic guilt. And as you write your answers down, and as you start to say, okay, I could take responsibility for this. What do I need to do to repair it? How do I apologize? How do I make amends? And if it's unrealistic guilt, then as you cross it out, just the act of looking at this, my hope is that it may weaken guilt's grip upon you, because now you will move into your rational mind that's going to say, yeah, I'm feeling guilty for something I have no control over. Okay. I haven't been looking at the comments. Any questions about any of this? Any questions on the first two ways? First one was name it, externalize it. I feel guilty about. And then the second technique is the reality check questions. And then you want to, again, circle what you could take responsibility for, and then unrealistic guilt. So any questions? Mira, how are we doing? Because I've got, oh, I can't hear you. Maybe you could put it in the chat for me. Thank you. Now, the third technique is embodiment release. Now, we come from, in my experience, we feel things, and we feel things deeply. We come from a culture where we're absorbers of energy. We absorb it and we absorb it. So you wonder why stomach issues or heartburn or some irritable bowel syndrome. You may have autoimmune issues. This is where we're absorbing all this energy from the guilt that we may be feeling, toxic guilt, excessive guilt, unhealthy guilt. And it's stored in our body, which then that whole mind-body connection, it's important to be able to release it out of your body. So one technique is you can place your hand on your chest or place it on your belly or wherever you feel that, where you hold your guilt. So maybe you take a look right now. Where do I hold my guilt in my body? Anybody want to talk about where they're holding the guilt in their body before we even move into the exercise? I feel it in my chest usually. I could feel it here, like a stone on top of my chest. I can hardly breathe sometimes. Let's see. How are we doing in the comments? Where are people feeling their guilt in their body? Most people absorb your energy. Most people, yeah, well, you can absorb people's energy and they can absorb yours. So what's happening and what I'm seeing a lot of is because people are more disconnected from themselves, disconnected from their bodies, what's happening is we're all matching this guilt, shame. We're in this constant back and forth. But if you have awareness within your own body, oh, I'm feeling this guilt in my chest. What is this about for me? The more you can do that, the less likely you're going to throw energy at the person in front of you, whether it's your partner, your children. The more you can create awareness around your feelings, the less likely you are going to put that onto somebody else. Okay. So let's see. Smilebot. Hey, shoulders. Yes. This is whenever my clients or somebody says, Tiffany, I feel it in my shoulders. It's usually a metaphor for what burdens are you carrying? What are you carrying here? Here, all in here, you may feel that. And the guilt you may feel is this weight that you have in your shoulders is a good, you're naming it and you're going to externalize it. What are these burdens? What guilt am I carrying? What responsibilities am I carrying? And then you want to be able to exhale and say, I release what is not mine to carry. And you may want to say that to yourself in here. What I release, what is not mine to carry. So if you connect to that shoulders, thank you for that, or your belly or your chest, you could just take a deep breath, inhale, and then you want to exhale. I release what is not mine to carry. Now, guilt often lingers in the body. And so sometimes you need to stretch or shake or move freely to let it out physically. Because where is all that energy going to go? Where's it going to go? It's just going to stay there. And it's going to get heavier and more dense in your body. The more you carry it, the more dense it's going to be in your body. And so by releasing it through a walk, shaking, dancing. So I always think about like some of the drumming we do in our culture, the chanting, the prayers, these things that we're externalizing to release it. This is where you can call upon your own life to think about, how do I want to release this guilt that may not be mine to carry? How do I get it out of my body? And there's lots of ways you can do that. Art, music. And you may have to do this inhale and exhale. I release what is not mine to carry 7 or 8 times a day. And sometimes all day long. You may feel it. I'm feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders. I'm feeling the weight of my family. My mother wants me to take care of everything and everyone. My father has these high expectations of me to be something I am not, and I feel guilty. Where do you feel it in your body? It is not yours to carry. I release what is not mine to carry. Okay? And then you want to stretch or shake. Again, your body has a wealth of information. Let's see. I'm going to go to the comments here. Give me 1 second. أشوف وين إحنا. Back pain, no sleep, muscle pain. Oops. I feel I am, yes. So this is, I think it's Wafa or Wafa. Sorry, Wafa Yusuf. Yes. So again, by you having this awareness and this connection, so the ache in your body, the muscles, that depression is like hoisted in you could feel it. And in order to release it, it's about what is burning you, what is causing you this pain. And a lot of it is emotional pain. Now, within this context, it's about the guilt. What guilt am I carrying? And do you need to carry it? Which goes to repair and release. This is another technique, a practical technique, is your guilt is pointing you to something repairable. I often say guilt is not meant to be held on to. It's meant to be released. anybody carrying guilt, I talked about that at the live last week. Like this martyrdom, this I must sacrifice myself, I must hold on to this guilt. Somehow it's virtuous in our culture. And I'm really going to encourage you guys. It's not virtuous. It's repairable, and it's not meant to be held in that way. So you want to take one small step. So if you have done something that you feel you need to make amends about, then you take one small step. You may go to your sibling or to your family member and say, I was thinking about it. Last week I spoke to you pretty rudely, and I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. I was really going through something, and I didn't act in my best self. Now, they may be shocked, because what did we say earlier? We don't hear mitasif, we don't hear these things that often. We don't get the repair or the amends that often. So their reaction, you're not doing the amends for them. You're doing it for you so that you can feel better about how you move in the world, because your value may be kindness and compassion. And when you are not living in alignment with your values, it could take a toll on your body, your soul, your spirit. And so you want to repair where you can. Now, if it's a past mistake or unrealistic cultural and family expectations, now, can you repair that? No, you can't repair that. You made a mistake in the past. No matter what you did, you cannot repair it. It was a mistake. It happened. I work with a lot of people in drug and alcohol recovery. And one thing I can say is a lot of really, really tough things happened while they were using. And you cannot undo the damage or the wreckage that was done as a result of these things. And it's about practicing letting go, making amends to the people that you can make amends to, and they may not be open to that amends. And that's okay. Again, you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. And sometimes it's about practicing writing down everything that you want to let go. Everything, no matter what it is. It's only between you and the God of your heart. So you want to write down, what is irreparable? What can I not repair? Maybe somebody died and you feel so guilty that you weren't there for them. I know I had a friend, and I know this is going to be heavy and it's a trigger warning, and I'm sorry, but this is an example. I had a friend who decided to end their life. And man, I felt guilty for years on how come I didn't pick up that phone call? Why wasn't I there more for them? And that's something. Now, was it a mistake? No. Was it unrealistic expectation I had of myself that I would have known? No. It was something irreparable. They're gone. So in practicing letting go, just write on a piece of paper everything I want to let go. I release what is not mine to carry. I release I didn't have a crystal ball. I release that I didn't know what was going to happen. That's too much to carry for anyone. And then once you write it down on paper, you can use any kind of ritual to release it. You can tear it up, you can burn it, provided it's in a safe place. Don't burn it in the house. You could do anything to release it. You can pray over it. You can gently let it go. Ask the God of your heart to remove that from you. And this release ritual can be very, very helpful in you removing it from your body. That whatever happened no longer defines me. Whatever I can't repair, whatever I did, you can own it and say, okay, that's what happened. but it doesn't have to define you, nor does it have to have you live your life in that way. Constantly living in shame, living in guilt, putting your head down, hunched over. You raise yourself up and you say, yes, I can make amends, but I don't have to have all this guilt that's not even mine to carry define how I move forward. And this is where taking self-compassion. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I grew up in an Arab household where there was very little self-compassion. I didn't have adults modeling for me what that looked like. They were beating themselves up for any little mistake. Wallahi, if the mahshi wasn't, the warak dawali wasn't wrapped perfectly, they were beating themselves up over ekel, that it goes in the body. It's delicious no matter if it's perfectly wrapped or not. I mean, this is the daraja that we go through in our culture, that we're watching our moms and our dads beat themselves up for any little thing. Maybe you see them, they're slapping themselves, or sometimes we physically see them hurting themselves for, and that's profoundly intense for a child to watch, and you as a young adult or as an adult watching your parent hurt themselves for things that, or burdens that they, for even the very minor things. Now, do you do this to yourself? I know I did all the time, until doing the work, I recognized that where is the self-compassion? Nobody taught me how to regulate my emotions. Nobody gave me any instructions or tools on how to manage this life in a way where I could feel healthy and whole. There wasn't anybody to uplift or to lift me up and to say, hey, I got your back. I had to learn all that on my own, and that came with mistakes. And it came with me moving in ways that I wasn't necessarily proud of in the past, or even now, today. And so I want to be a model for each and every one of you, that you notice the guilt and saying, okay, I need to give myself a break. How are we supposed to offer grace to one another if we can't give that grace to ourselves? And so if so you notice the guilt, you say, okay, I feel bad about what I did. And you say, this is a moment of suffering. I'm suffering. There's so much suffering. And that's why I did this platform. And I say this all the time. There's so much suffering, as much beauty as there is in our culture. There's so much suffering for so many reasons. And you want to remind yourself that suffering and mistakes are part of being human. We make mistakes. That's part of how we grow. That's part of how we learn. And I look at the way when I made a mistake, I was back in the day, back in those days, we were hit, we were punished, we were shamed, not just shamed in our own family. We were shamed, Qaddam everybody, Qaddam an-nas. If you made a mistake, how many of you heard words like hamad, hamada, terrible words, tarma? I don't know. These are things I heard. These are things I heard my mother being called. And I think to myself, what mistake was made to warrant that level of words to a child? I want you guys to think about that. I want you guys to think about that. For the younger generation, many of you, thankfully, your parents have grown and learned, and you won't hear the things that the older generations may have heard. And this is about how we grow as a community. And for the younger generation, they're listening to me thinking, oh my gosh, people say that? And I'm thinking, thank you to your parents. Thank you. So this is where you acknowledge that mistakes happen. It's how you grow. Suffering is a part of life. And we come from a region of the world where the suffering is so much, and we're not given any grace for any of our responses to that. And how do you do that to you? And so you want to place your hand on your body. You want to breathe, and may I forgive myself and move forward with love. May I forgive myself and move forward with love. Do we need to forgive the other person? That's for a whole other life. I don't necessarily believe that as a clinician. But can you forgive yourself? That's more important. You don't need to forgive the other person. But can you forgive yourself? And can you move forward? This is a moment of suffering. I'm feeling guilty. I made a mistake. Mistakes are part of being human. May I forgive myself and move forward? And can you give yourself permission to forgive yourself and move forward? We come from family systems that you may want to forgive yourself and move forward, but Omar Hum, if they let you forget, shu Soweto. Every time you try and move forward and you forgive yourself and you want to offer yourself some grace, I can almost guarantee you're going to have an auntie, an amo, a cousin, a sibling, a abu that's going to come at you with, let me give you guys a funny example because this is getting too heavy. I was 3 years old. 3. Kunna fil blad. Back home for Palestine. I'm 3 years old. Did you know that just until recently, because most of them are gone, the older generation, every time they saw me, they go, oh, it's Zakari Lemon Inti Akhati al knife al table, and you stabbed your auntie with it. Now, first of all, Arab exaggerate. I was 3 years old. There was a knife on the table. They were serving cake. And I apparently grabbed the knife, 3-year-old, curious. And I took the knife, I guess. And apparently, according to the aunties, I stabbed one of my aunties. Probably I just swung it a little bit and I didn't stab anybody. But this is every single time. Do you remember you did that? Now, rationally, as an adult, I know that it's the adult's responsibility to manage the toddler that's in the room near a knife. Yet emotionally, I carried so much shame around being a curious little person. And so every time I would see the aunties, there was this part of me, Ana Baruch, like, oh gosh, I stabbed the auntie at 3 years old, and I'm still carrying that guilt within me because everybody around me kept saying, Zakari, Shufti. Now, do you do that to other people? Don't do that. Okay, maybe I was 3. Maybe you were 10 and you made a mistake. Mistakes happen. But yet we come from a culture, they'll never let you forget it. But can you forget it? Okay. All right. Yeah, my Amto, she was special. I have lots of videos on her. It took me a good 10 years before I started Jawib to a Jawib home and say, really, where were you guys that a 3-year-old's running around? But believe me, before that, I carried that guilt and I owned it. And I felt so bad. I did this to this auntie and then Matat. And then I was like, oh my God, I was 3 and I stabbed her and now she's dead. This is the mind where we go. Okay. I always tell my siblings and my cousins, it's a wonder any of us are functioning with the amount of guilt that's placed upon us. All right, Mira, when احنا Can we go to some of the comments? Let me see. Now we're streaming live on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So I'm really excited for that. But let's take a look at the comments. Mira, can you hop on so I could see you? So you and I are both together? I think you're muted, Habibti. Do I have to unmute you?
Yeah, can you see me now?
Tayyib. Good to see you, everybody. This is my assistant, Mira. She is amazing. She's behind the scenes, making sure we have a safe space in the comments. Ashan, you know, sometimes NAS, they say some terrible things. So let's go for, what are some comments? What's happening? What are people, is it resonating? Are people, what's going on?
Oh my God, yes. Noor kept saying that she resonated, and then she was saying aunties are toxic.
They can be, but let's not be that toxic auntie. That's why we're releasing the guilt. So when the young people see us, I know I love when my nephews, you know, or any of the youth around me, I say, I don't want to be that toxic auntie. I want to affirm you and love you. And if you do something wrong, Habibi, that's okay. We make mistakes. You want to be that auntie or ammo, please. Let's shift this. All right, next.
Yeah, Jess said, thank you. Is there a Q&A?
Q&A? What do you mean?
Yeah, she was asking if she can ask questions. You can always ask questions, and I will always let Tiffany know. But we usually talk about a certain topic. But if you have questions, feel free to put them in the comments, and I will let Tiffany see them.
Yeah, I would love that. Actually, why don't we do that? Thank you, Jess. Let me finish my last point, and then we'll open it up to everybody. You can ask me questions.
Yeah, Jess also asked. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, Habibti. Go ahead. What?
Jess asked thoughts on guilt felt by Arab men versus Arab women, please.
If I understood the question, it's do women carry guilt differently than men?
I think she meant that.
In my experience as a clinician, it's very individual. I don't necessarily see it as a gender thing. I think within our cultural context, women will, no, I think it functions the same, really. I don't think it's necessarily a gender thing at all. I think it's how sensitive someone is or how open someone is. If they tend to be more introverted or extra, actually, it doesn't matter. Guilt is very individual in how people carry it. I could say culturally, we carry guilt by doing versus being. So when we feel guilty, we tend to do everything. We keep going versus, okay, you're feeling guilty. Let's take a step back, slow down. What is it that you're doing? Why is it that you're doing it? But we tend to get too revved up. So we do more versus less. And this is where, yeah, well, let's just open it to questions. I think I'm done. I think those are just some things. Yeah. I think that's good. Let's open it up. Khalas, I'm sick of hearing myself talk. Yalla.
Okay, let's see. If anyone has questions, please let us know in the comments.
Anything else? Anybody pushing back against some of the things I was talking about?
No, everyone was resonating. Everyone saying, thank you. You're talking miracles. God bless you.
Oh, gosh. Well, God bless this community. Mira and I, before the live, we just talked about how grateful and blessed we are to have this community for us to be able to talk about these things. You know, Arab guilt is really intense. And so many of us are living our lives steeped in this guilt. And I'm here to just say, can we give ourselves permission to let it go? And so many young adults that I talk to, you're not doing anything wrong. It's the value of the universal human values versus our Middle Eastern cultural values. And there are a lot of shared and overlapping values. Family loyalty and responsibility, love, respect, that's universal. And that's very dear to us, right? As a culture. Hospitality and generosity, our kindness, our generosity, our compassion, those are all shared values. Yet within our cultural context, We do way too much for people, especially Banat Arab. Oh my gosh. Uh, you meet somebody, we put out the red carpet here, خدو. And it's like, no, استني شوية, هاتي شوية. I'm like, slow down. It's a beautiful value. And then you keep saying yes and you want to say no. And then you feel guilty that you're not helping people. And yet you've already done so much for them, yet you don't value that. And then you wonder why you feel the pain in your shoulder, your chest, your heart. I mean, I said your heart, your stomach, right? This is a big one. Honor and integrity is a universal human value. And within our cultural value, this respect and this honor. So if you go out and you date hada outside the culture, you start to feel guilty. You start to crumble that guilt. And it's to say, you're honoring yourself. You're not doing anything wrong. Yet it's that cultural expectation that you may feel guilty about. And you want to discern that. I think the double life video was very popular. And so many people are living their life. You're not doing anything wrong if you're not hurting anybody. The other piece, universal, is patience. What? Sabr. Perseverance. We have so much courage in our culture. And you may feel, but we also come from a fear-based culture. So you may feel guilty for not pursuing something because you're afraid it might dismiss the honor of the family. Well, take a look at that. Again, you're not doing anything wrong. Okay. Let's see. So it's, again, the balance in here is always our collective culture versus your individual freedom. That's the balance. But if you're feeling guilty for living your life or wearing what you want or doing what you want or pursuing what you want, well, again, you're not, what are you feeling guilty about? Identify it. Do we have any questions?
Jess has another question. She said, what is the relationship between Arab shame and guilt?
That's for a whole other live. I'm going to do, I think next Wednesday, I'm going to do a whole live on shame. Shame. Okay. So guilt, it's really important to understand. Guilt is what did you do wrong? So I made a mistake. Shame is I am a mistake. And I am bad versus, okay, I may have done something not great. Shame is you're internalizing it as you are bad. You are a failure. So we're going to talk about shame in a whole other live. So the distinction is, again, guilt is what did you do wrong? What's the behavior? Shame is how you internalize it. Did I answer that question?
Yeah, thank you. We're going to talk more about this next live, right?
Oh yeah, I am not even addressing shame. We're just looking at toxic guilt, healthy guilt. Healthy guilt, yeah, if you did something wrong, it's always pointing you to going, how can I be better? What can I do to make amends? How can I move better? If I know I get snappy when I'm hungry, then I'm going to take responsibility for going and eating before I go see somebody. Okay. So you want to take accountability for that. I know I drink too much coffee. Mira knows this. When I drink too much coffee, I tend to get really punchy. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, Show a live goal. You know, the young people, for those, I watch all these lives that the young people do. Thank you. I think we reached our live goal. I don't know what that means, but thank you. That's exciting.
Yeah, thank you so much. We have another question. Rania said, how to deal with the guilt of occasionally reciprocating the verbal abuse that we endured growing up?
Wait, slower? What was that?
How to deal with the guilt of occasionally reciprocating the verbal abuse that we endured growing up.
Reciprocating. So you're also like you were verbally abused and then you reciprocate it by being verbally abusive back. So
Yeah, I think
earlier
so.
in the live, I talked about how we may be matching that energy, right? You're absorbing all their verbal abuse, absorbing it, absorbing. You may feel powerless. You may feel out of control. And then you snap back or you unleash, and then you feel guilty. Well, first, it's again understanding the dynamics that we may come, that people will just keep unloading, unloading, and you keep absorbing, absorbing. And if you have a reaction, well, tell you that's normal. Now, I get what you're saying. You want to be able to take a step back and say, okay, I didn't move well. So, okay, you forgive yourself. And how do you want to interact with that person? Again, well, if they're verbally abusive, you may need to ask yourself even a deeper question is what if I can't be my best self in each and every one of my relationships, then what's happening in the dynamic of the relationship? And so are you feeling guilty for how someone responds to you? That's their responsibility. Only you could take accountability for what you've done. And if they're not willing to change, or if they're not even, they're shameless, they're not even feeling guilty for how they interact with you, then be really, really careful about that. Their words may come from, their verbal abuse may be coming from a whole other ball game, yet are you inheriting the guilt? You're taking on more than what you probably should.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, because in our Middle Eastern parents, they pass down this guilt, this lineage guilt. They keep passing it down as a way to ensure your loyalty. So their words may come from love and fear or tradition, but I don't have to absorb them as truth. So if you have this inherited guilt, again, you're feeling guilty for existing. They're saying, I need to keep you in control. I need this loyalty from you. And it goes against, if it's diminishing your light or lowering your light, it's to say, okay, I want to be here for you, but at what cost to me? At some point, we need to ask ourselves, at what cost to you? And it's taken me a long time, and I'm talking a long time of healing to get to a place, no matter how much you try, no matter how much you reach out, no matter how much you do, it may never be enough. Because for them, it was never enough. For their jiddo or their tete, it was never enough. So can it be enough for you? Can we let the younger generation understand, yes, there's loyalty. Yes, we value that. But Habibi, Habibti, go live your life. I know you love me. I know you care about me, but yet our parents and our families will keep pushing. And that's not okay. And then you start to feel shame. And it's not, and then we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, thank you for answering the question. We have Vanity. She was asking if she can find the full live. She can find it on YouTube. So you can go to the YouTube channel. The link is in the bio, and you'll find the whole live on YouTube tomorrow. We always have the full lives there. So there are so many topics. So if you'd like to check it out, the link is always in the bio. And then Jess is asking if she can book a one-on-one session with you. If you would like to send me a DM, and I will let you know how you can book a one-on-one session. Usually this is through our website, which is, again, the link is in the bio, but we're updating things, so it's not working for now. But you can always DM me, and I'm always here to help you.
Yes, we have we're got some new and exciting things coming up. So yes, our apologies. The website is under construction. We've got some really awesome branding, and I'll be featuring the young woman from Morocco, Samia, for being a part of our community. One thing before we go is what I've said all throughout this live is, how do you honor your family without abandoning yourself? That's one of the biggest questions I get whenever I work with Arab, is you can set boundaries respectfully. And I have a whole videos on that. And instead of, part of it is this idea, this obligation that we have, I owe them everything, right? I honor them in the ways that I can without destroying myself in the process. Now this is where I see a lot of what we do to ourselves is we're destroying ourselves for this family obligation. Now, this is where only you can answer this for yourself, is how do we allow respect for our elders in our family and self-preservation? Because this self-preservation is so important, because the more you can give to yourself, the more you can give to others. But by the time you're so depleted, there's some of you, you're 24 years old and you're completely depleted. And life hasn't even really hit you yet. And now you're going to add a wife or a husband or children. And then now you're giving. And then you have the elders, and then you have your auntie. It's too much. This ought to be obligation. Reframe it. I could do everything for you. Min ayuni ala rasi, but mish ala rasi kullo, because it's not going to be sustainable for you. It's going to seep into more depression, more anxiety, substance abuse, emotional eating. And then we want to protect ourselves with the food. I need to protect myself. That emotional, it all stems from this excessive toxic guilt, a lot of these things, and shame, which I'll talk about next week. And again, you want to ask yourself a reality check on your responsibility. What is truly within your control? And what is outside of your control? Maybe if you start there, what's in my control? This guilt lingers because we hold ourselves responsible for things we couldn't have changed. Ana Falastaniya, Asli Falastaniya. How many young Palestinian Americans will say, I feel guilty for eating? They're starving them. They're starving themselves here in America because they feel guilty. Now I say, well, how is that helping people back home? You hurting yourself, you being, suffering here. How is that helping them back home? When you talk to most people and they say, we want you to live, we want you to move forward, we want you to carry our voices. Well, we can't carry our voices if we feel so guilty that we're harming ourselves in the process. All right. Are we done?
Yeah, I think we don't have any questions now. Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.
Oh, we do. Atil has a question.
Tell you. What is it?
He said, I feel guilty for choosing the sensible. Oh, I'm sorry. I feel guilty for choosing to be sensible and make the right decisions. That feeling exhausts me.
Wait, say. I really love this comment. I want to make sure I understand it. Wait, say it again.
I feel guilty for choosing to be sensible and make the right decisions. This feeling exhausts me.
If I understand, yes. Because when you're living your life, your light is shining in sensibility, doing what's right for you, doing what makes sense, doing things in alignment with your truth. And you come from a family system that's pushing against that constantly. And there's this projection of you need to feel bad for who you are. Yeah, it's exhausting. I've been exhausted since birth. I've been exhausted since birth. But as you get older and the better you get at it, the less exhausting it is. The more you can own your truth and ground who you are. and less apologies. Believe me, your families, they're okay. They get used to it. They need you. But you also need you. You also need you. We think that they're somehow going to be broken as a result of us living in our truth and in our tariqna. La, they're fine. In some cases, yes, within our cultural context, you living your life in your authentic truth can have some safety concerns. So that's why I always say, be really careful. And only yet, if there's no safety concerns, they're okay. They're going to be fine. I have a family. They can live to tell you that they're fine. All right. All right, everybody. I wanted to thank everybody for joining me on this live, joining Mira and I, Community for International Arab Guild. We gave you lots of practical tools on how to move through it. Control what you can control. If you're not doing anything wrong, start to release the guilt. That you living in your truth, your alignment, your light is the most important thing. And I'm here to mirror back to you your light, nawar, that the light in me sees the light in you. And to know that we can move through these cultural issues, ma'ba'ad, together, we can heal. And I wish you all a very beautiful day, a beautiful night, and whatever you decide to do. And let go. Let go of what is not yours to carry. And I hope that will help ease some of the suffering so that we can continue to move forward in peace. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mira. You're the best.
So much. Jess is asking when is the next live? It's always on Wednesdays. So it's Wadih Wednesday. It's always on Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific time.
That's right. So we're going to talk about shame. Dun, 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 dun. So we'll continue that discussion. And in the meantime, I wish you all the very best. Thank you for supporting this community. Thank you for having us reach our goals. I really appreciate you. Please share any of this with anyone that you feel is needing to be seen, to be heard, to know you are not crazy for you living sensibly or you living in alignment with your truth, that you are okay. You're fine. Okay. So with that said, have a great day, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.